left-wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
5 former Memphis police officers were charged with a federal crime for civil rights violations in connection with the death of Tyre Nichols. Now, the civil rights charges include deprivation of rights under color of law through excessive force and failure to intervene, and deprivation of rights under the color of law through deliberate indifference. Now, I don't know about y'all, but there's a lot of people out there questioning, like, can a black man be charged civil rights violations against another black man? Ace, what? Tell me, man. How they do this thing?
Yeah, where they do that at? I don't, like, can you imagine when they hit the yard, having to explain that shit?
Yeah.
Like, what you in here for, bro?
Finally.
Like some of my dudes did some time, man. Hit me up. Let me know, man. Like, how'd that go down, man?
Yeah.
Like, Cause there you got to sit with who you got to sit with, man. You can't, you just can't sit on anybody's bleachers or nothing like that. You got to, it's color coded in there. It's horrible how they did Tyre, man. Like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course they're guilty of it, man. And it's just they overdid this police thing, man. They just overdid their power, man. And of course because they thought they stood in a position of authority, they violated the civil rights. That happened. Mm-hmm. But how? How do you not have at least? How do you not have that kind of a compassion to at least know and understand that you're doing that to another brother, right or wrong? If you're a black policeman and you're arresting somebody, why would you, violate their civil rights? You should be the one person kind of standing up for their civil rights at least. But in this situation, we all saw the tape. Mm-hmm. They just went crazy on this dude for no reason, and he lost his life. So not only are they locked up, and you know what? And I look at it like this. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but when George Floyd's policeman, when he violated his civil rights, that dude was off for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Then he finally got convicted. Then he finally went to prison. Oh, these dudes went to jail straight. We ain't heard nothing from them at all. And that's a difference right there. Like, bruh, you doing all of this being extra, you went straight to jail. They didn't give you no time off to hang out with your family and stuff. You went to prison and is serving right now, and you probably never gonna get out. You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, yes, they did violate the civil rights. Why? I have no idea how that happened. I don't understand how that happened at all.
Yeah.
Right. Well, civil rights, there's a lot of things you can do that violate civil rights, but the two to me that stick out in this particular case is police brutality, right? Mm-hmm. And then racial profiling. Now, my concern, police brutality, I can see that happening. Excessive use of force by law enforcement officers resulting in injury or death, unfortunately for Tyre Nichols, particularly when targeting minority communities. That's where I was like, red flag, red flag. So 5 black police officers would go into a community that they knew that was full of people who look like themselves and apply police brutality. That's why I'm just so confused about the whole civil rights thing. Like, why would you even be targeting your own community? Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be serving your community and considering the fact that you look like your community. And for what I understand about this case too, is they were already having issues with police brutality. And that's why these people were there to look like, oh, so we're going to have people who look more like you, right? So they can build that relationship and rapport. So that's very confusing. So that might be why they were, as far as the civil rights come into play on there. And then racial profiling, law enforcement targeting individuals based on their race or ethnicity rather than evidence of criminal activity. Again, I would question 5 black males would be racially profiling their own in their own community. I mean, it's just sad, it's crazy to me. I still can't wrap my head around it. I was like, let me make it make sense. And it just doesn't to me on there.
I'm just going to break it down like this, man. You can have civil rights violations if you're a public citizen. Like, if I go to a restaurant and the owner of that restaurant, says, hey, I'm not serving you, you black. That's a civil rights violation, right? Mm-hmm. That's a public place.
Right.
He's doing it based on my race, right? I'm a protected class. That's a civil rights violation. If we think about it that way, there should be civil rights violations happening every damn day all
No
over
doubt.
the place. Like
Right.
when a black person fights a black person, you violated my rights. You brutalized me. You beat me up. If you lose the fight, nigga, I'm suing you for civil rights. Okay? I mean, basically, that's we make it that plain and simple. It's kind of like that. Like at the end of the day, these dudes were black. And they beat up a black dude. Was it right? No. Was it civil rights violated? I don't know. When they say like brutality, like I said, if I fight somebody and beat them up, am I now violating their civil rights because I beat their ass? You know, I don't know. It has nothing to do with the fact that they were police officers. That was wrong because they were police officers.
I think it's
and they
because they have
should
to
be
be
going
black.
to jail for hurting him, killing him, all of that. They should go to jail for that. Don't get it twisted. I'm just like, this ain't a civil rights violation to me because these black men, unless they all marry to white people and have white families with no black people in their families, their kids ain't even black. Okay, they adopt their white kids. They got black people in their lives who they love. And when they talk about indifference, how you indifferent towards your own people? I'm having sex with one of my own people every night. Okay,
Every night.
well, I'm probably not every night, but I'm trying.
Are you done? That's not our topic of the day.
Look, so at the end of the day, how can you be indifferent towards
shit.
a group of people if you love somebody who looks like that? Like having a racial bias don't mean, well, I'm biased to everybody in my race except for the people in my house. Like my kids and my wife. If you bias towards that race, you bias towards that race. I'd be the first dude in court like, there is no indifference. Look at my wife. Look at my kids. How am I indifferent towards this race? And I did this based on race when I love with all my heart and soul people of this race. Not only like my wife, I got friends. I got all kind of people that can vouch for me that I love black people. Now I beat up this dude. Now you're going to say it's a civil rights violation? No, I should be going to jail for murder.
Yes.
What they going?
But not for no civil rights violation, because that ain't to me, that ain't right. That's just me.
Well, yeah. I mean, and here's the deal. And I think as black people, we take on civil rights because it's attached to our cause. You know what I'm saying? So when you say civil rights, I already think about the black struggle.
Right.
But if you listen to the word, it's civil. It's being civil to one another. It's really just
Based on a protected class.
Yeah, just, exactly. But it's being civil. Here's the deal, and I'm gonna throw it at you just like this. So when they pulled over Tyre, they knew Tyre wasn't one of the thugs.
Nah.
He's a hardworking guy and blah blah blah. You could even hear
Nah, they know who all the drug dealers, who all the
So-
heavy hitters are. They
So
know.
you can hear in the exchange. This is where I think civil rights comes into play. Got nothing to do with race or anything like this. It got to do now with there's a policeman, their position of power, and they're dealing with a civilian, and they overuse their power. So in that situation, they did violate his civil rights because as soon as they made him lay down and do all of this, and they didn't let him get up, and they did all of that, and they didn't let him get any medical care.
Okay.
They violated the civil rights at that point. It had nothing to do with race at that
Race,
particular point.
right.
Now, I get what Sean's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying that, hey, because they black, they can't do it from race standpoint. Yeah, you're kind of right on that. But their issue came in when they used their police position
Right.
to not allow him to leave, to get help, to call for help, and they decided to beat on him because they thought they had the authority to do it.
Yeah. I can see
But
that.
let's put that into perspective, though. Civil rights have nothing to do with, and that's why I brought up the fact that a public citizen can violate your civil rights. Being a policeman does not state that you now, no matter who you do something to, that you're violating their civil rights if you beat them up or you don't get them help or whatever. It's not a violation of your civil rights it's not based on your job. That's not what civil rights is based on. It's based on protected classes and not allowing them to do certain things based on those protected classes and being in a public space. There's all types of little rules to it. So I hear what you're saying. Like, yeah, police should not abuse their power. Don't get it twisted. I ain't never going to say that they should. And I think that police abuse their power all the time. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But is it a civil rights violation? I think that it's not. And I hear what you're saying. Like the definition of civility, right, is being civil to one another. And they sure as hell wasn't that.
No.
So, but if they want to change the definition, the letter of the law, then they need to do that because it really doesn't have anything to do with your job. It doesn't state anywhere in there that, hey, a police officer doing A, B, or C is a civil rights violation.
Well, it just says the protection and enforcement of civil rights are essential for ensuring equality and justice in society. So maybe looking at it in that type of definition, not just looking at race per se or job or,
Right.
but I just didn't understand it. I know from a racial standpoint, I'm with you. I do not understand that. And the indifference that would have been between 5 black men on 1 black man.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. I know black folks that seem like they hate black folks.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah, I do know some
Yes.
that seem like they want
I did
to.
a few of those.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They exist, and don't get it twisted. We know that, but from a standpoint of like these dudes, I don't know if that's the case or not because I don't know any of them. But you know, I don't know. Every time there's a black person involved with it, it can't be civil rights though. It starts to lose its importance.
Right.
Okay, and when you're trying to apply this in this situation, I think that they're watering down civil rights by or trying to make a point. Oh, black folks hate black folks, black on black. When can a white guy like get a civil rights violation for beating up a white guy and killing him? A white cop? I bet you would never see that. They would never do that, right? Protected
you
class
feel like
based
black
on race.
is associated with civil rights now, or
That's
just like
the way. But see,
color
the letter of the
scheme?
law just says race. Bias based on race. I'm not biased against my own race. I don't get that. Like I said, what if it was a white cop beat up and killed a white guy? Would they bring up civil rights? No. But does civil rights say white or black or Chinese? No, it doesn't. It just says race. Protected class based on race, gender, sexual preference.
Sexuality. Yeah.
So I think they're misusing it. I really do.
I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly, but I think in that case, got nothing to do with the race of the cop. I mean, I think it should be applied to that too. We just don't. Just like we don't call white on white crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
that
crime.
word
We
only
just call it
exists.
crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, crime is
But
crime.
in the situation, if this was white officers and this was a white person and they did the same thing and they didn't let him get up and they didn't let
It'd
him
still
get
be a
medical
civil.
attention, I think they did violate the civil rights. You know, it's just that we don't have the mechanisms that would do that right now if it was Caucasian. You know, so no, I agree with what you're saying 100%. And I think that they are, because they are black, when you look at it like that, I think they are black, that they're making it he's black. So
Yeah.
because like I said, we've been having all these white crimes to where
Right.
these people getting these civil rights violations. We're gonna also
Like they trying to
apply
put
it to the
they
same.
trying to put a line on the other
then
side of the
apply it
ledger.
here.
You
But
know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
You're
Like,
right. If this was all Caucasian, we just be calling it crime, and they just be going to jail and
for
they wouldn't
murder.
be
there
talking
would be
about-
no civil rights
We didn't be
discussion.
talking about civil rights.
None at all.